Day 15 of the Summer of Recovery program. Charles Bolden is the NASA guy. It's audio soundbite number 20. Mike, grab this thing. This last Wednesday on Al Jazeera in English's Talk to Al Jazeera, the host, Imran Garda, interviewed the NASA administrator, Charles Bolden. Now, keep in mind here, folks. Oh, and wait till you hear what Obama said about Dependence Day on Sunday. You think that I am wrong when I tell you his mission is return the nation's wealth to its quote-unquote rightful owners. Stand by. Now, remember what NASA has become under Obama. No longer about space exploration. We're going to ground the shuttle fleet. We're going to lease space for astronaut flight on Russian spacecraft. NASA has been told to focus on global warming. And now we have the NASA administrator on Al Jazeera last Wednesday who said this.
Before I became the NASA administrator, he charged me with three things. One was he wanted me to help re-inspire children to want to get into science and math. He wanted me to expand our international relationships. And third, and perhaps foremost, he wanted me to find a way to reach out to the Muslim world and engage much more with dominantly Muslim nations to help them feel good about their historic contribution to science, math, and engineering.
All right. Now, a lot of people are saying to me, Rush, the guy really didn't mean it. I mean, just out there, this is just a bunch of pap for the Al Jazeera audience. Didn't really mean it. Of course he meant it. Of course he meant it. And of course Obama said it. There's no questioning. Why would he say it if he didn't mean it? He certainly meant it for the Muslim audience at Al Jazeera. And by the way, would somebody show me any Nobel Prizes for math or science from the Muslim world? I'm going to get a lot of trouble for this, but that's what we do here. We make the complex understandable. We deal with the truth. Most of these claims about Muslim contributions to science and math are myths. Even, folks, the so-called Arabic numbers were actually invented by the Hindus in 500 A.D. I looked this up this weekend. It was even before there was such a thing as Islam. The Hindus created so-called Arabic numerals, and you can find this in Wikipedia if you want to believe it there. Charles Bolden, NASA administrator. He was asked, why are you here in the region? Well, because NASA, I'm here to spread the, Muslim outreach. He meant it. He said it. He meant it. He couldn't possibly have meant this. He did mean it. Here's Obama on Sunday in Washington, White House South Lawn.
We celebrate the principles that are timeless, tenets first declared by men of property and wealth, but which gave rise to what Lincoln called a new birth of freedom in America. Civil rights and voting rights, workers' rights and women's rights, and the rights of every American.
That's Independence Day to Obama. That's what independence means. Let's run down the founders, men of wealth and property, who gave way and gave rise to. I have never in my life listened to a president be so abstract and insincere and total lack of passion about this nation's creation, its founding, liberty, freedom, and independence. To try to convert what happened, make it a bad thing, men of property, men of wealth, but it wasn't until Lincoln came along, who was, by the way, a Republican. When Lincoln came along, we got concerned about voters' rights, workers' rights, women's rights. So when you hear people say, including me, Obama's agenda is to return the nation's wealth, quote unquote, to its, quote, rightful, unquote, owners, you will know what I mean. The Daily Caller today, lack of jobs increasingly blamed on uncertainty created by Obama policies. One word being mentioned by business leaders and economists more frequently when the conversation turns to why jobs are not returning more quickly, and the word is uncertainty. Here is the CEO of Verizon, Ivan Seidenberg, in a speech in Washington in late June, a big donor contributor to Obama. By reaching into virtually every sector of economic life, government is injecting uncertainty into the marketplace and making it harder to raise capital and create new business. I have figured out what's going on. I'm going to make this understandable. It's hard for people to get their arms around the fact that when I say Obama is destroying the private sector on purpose, people do not want to believe, no matter what they think of Obama now, they do not want to believe we've elected a president who has that as an objective. Let me give you an analogy here. It might make it a little bit more, well, not palatable, but understandable. Remember, Reagan, it is said of Reagan, I think it is true to a certain extent, Reagan decided to starve the welfare state by creating deficits in spending, therefore making it impossible for the Democrats to continue spending. And it worked for a while, back when the Democrats cared about deficits and cared about spending. But the same Reagan effort was to starve the Democrats of their primary weapon. Obama is attempting to starve the private sector of its primary weapon, which is job creation, which is wealth growth, creation of wealth, by transferring or taking so much of the private sector, putting it into the government sector. And now these CEOs are starting to speak up. This Verizon guy, Ivan Seidenberg, by reaching into virtually every sector of economic life, government is injecting uncertainty into the marketplace. Although there are some things that are certain, and that is crippling tax increases are going to hit beginning January 1st. Here's Robert Williams, the senior fellow at the Tax Policy Center. The whole tax situation very much in flux, very uncertain, makes it hard to plan. It's clear that firms are not yet hiring. A lot of them are sitting on big bundles of cash, citing the examples of Google and Apple, both hoarding about $30 billion in cash instead of investing it or using it to expand. Seidenberg of Verizon said he was troubled by Obama's agenda, so much so that he had reached a point where the negative effects of these policies are simply too significant to ignore. Now, Seidenberg was a huge contributor to Obama, just as Jeff Immelt of General Electric was. And Jeff Immelt, remember that private dinner in Rome last week, said that Obama and the American business community did not like one another and are not getting along with each other. Immelt said the U.S. is a pathetic exporter, according to the Financial Times. Seidenberg said he's troubled by Obama's agenda, so much so that he had reached a point where the negative effects of these policies are simply too significant to ignore. Can I translate that for you? Meaning, wait a minute. This is so bad that anybody who really wanted to grow the economy would pull back on these policies instead of amplifying them and ratcheting them up. What this guy is saying is what you've been hearing from the golden EIB microphone for 18 months. It's on purpose. We can't ignore it anymore. These policies, which are crippling the private sector and growth, are on purpose. Seidenberg, not the last major business leader and Obama ally to turn on the president in recent days, and they quote Immelt. This is, let's see, who is this? Amity Schley. She really had a column for the Wall Street Journal at one point. A great book, by the way, she wrote on the Depression and FDR. We don't know what to expect from Washington. That's essentially what Seidenberg is saying. Her book, by the way, The Forgotten Man, argues that Roosevelt's punitive and unpredictable policies toward business prolonged rather than solved the Great Depression. We also don't like that their law involves a lot of discretion. It doesn't say, and the rules of bankruptcy are. The financial law that they just passed basically sends the message, we've decided that they will take care of things. The law gives them the discretion to do what they want, when they want to do it, without having it specifically spelled out. So we in business do not know what the hell to do, because we don't know if what we do is going to be considered something the administration's got to stop or penalize or tax. We also are very much concerned the economy as it's slowing down. Even the Politico says danger for Democrats as economy slows. Stimulus winding down right when Democrats need it most is a quote. The stimulus hasn't done diddly squat except the exact opposite of what it was intended to do. Or at least they claimed what it was intended to do. The Democrats are divided on this because at some point they want job creation. They want to do something more than just say they're for job creation. They want to do something more than just pass legislation that's supposedly going to create jobs. They actually want to see some jobs, and they're not seeing them. And the stimulus is not winding down at this time anyway. Only 43% of the stimulus has been spent. The stimulus is an Obama slush fund, and it will be spent coming this fall for re-election efforts of Democrats and in 2011 for Obama re-election efforts. It's a slush fund.